5.3, we are learning to graph from slope-intercept form. So the biggest thing that we need to know is the slope-intercept equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. And what you need to know is m is equal to our slope. And you have to realize what slope is, okay? Slope represents a rise over run, right? It's a change in height. We also called it the change in y over a change in x. But when we're talking about graphing, we really utilize the rise over run formula. And you also need to be 100% confident with y-intercept. And y-intercept is just where it crosses the y-axis. Now some of us, this seems easy enough, but you know what? There are going to be some of us that are like, wait a minute. What in the world is the y-axis? Think to yourself, y is nice and tall. It stands nice and tall. If you did a capitalized y, look at that, standing so tall. And x is like slanted. It's closer to being horizontal. Okay, so the y-axis is always our tall axis. So I just want to take a look at this example here. And yesterday we were exposed with writing an equation from this graph. And let's first start with our equation. So the first thing I needed to realize is what is my m and what is my y end? Well, my m is my change in height, my rise over run. So m is rise over run. And it looks here, I'm just going to go ahead and pick the y-intercept. I started there and it looks like I went up 1, so that would be 1. And then I went over 1, 2, 3. So my slope is 1/3. My y-intercept, re-outline it, it looks like it's at -2. So yesterday we learned we can pull that all together into the slope-intercept form and just plug the slope in. Slope is 1/3. The y-intercept is -2. Do we keep it like this, class? Do we keep it like plus a -2, yes or no?
No.
So I need to rewrite this in pure simplified form. Y is equal to 1/3 x minus 2. Okay? Now let's make a connection here. Let's say I didn't know what this line was, and I wanted to graph it. Well, if I knew the y-intercept, that's a point I know. My y-intercept is -2. That means I am crossing my y-axis at -2. And I know my slope is 1/3. And when I say my slope is 1/3, that means that I'm going to go up 1 over 3. So now watch what happens. If I went up 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3, there I am on the line. If I go up 1 and then over 1, 2, 3, there I am on another point. Okay? Up 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3, another point. That will continue indefinitely. So all I really need to know to graph an equation is my y-intercept and my slope, because I can find any other point following that slope. The slope will stay constantly. Which brings us to our steps. Oh, which brings you to a really funny comic. Look at this. The slope. You have to rise. You have to rise before you can run. And then the lazy track runners. They just wanna lay down. It's so funny. It's so funny. Okay, steps for graphing from slope-intercept form. The first thing you want to do, always, is plot the y-intercept. That's always the first thing you want to do, is plot the y-intercept. The second thing you're going to do is use your slope to plot at least 2 other points. All right, so steps for graphing graphing, the first thing again we're going to do is plot our y-intercept. And the second thing we're going to do is use slope to find at least 2 other points. So let's go through this first example here. I have y is equal to 3/4 x minus 2. So my first technique, identify my y-intercept and identify my slope. So my y-intercept is what? Positive or negative 2?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. So that's going to be my first point. And now I'm going to use my slope, which is 3/4, to find at least 2 other points. So if my slope is 3/4, I'm just getting really generic here so everyone knows where I'm coming from. That's saying that I'm going to go up 3 and over 4. Okay, up 3 and over 4. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3 and over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plot it. Up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plot it. I connected. I made 2 other points. Look at me go. I'm good. Now look at my line. It is arrows on both sides. It is extending past the points. It is making Miss Mahal happy. It is not a segment. Okay? Questions? All right, I want you to practice this one on your little notepad. Y is equal to x plus 1. Everyone do that on their little graph paper doodle buddy. All right, looking at this next example, we have y is equal to x plus 1. I need to identify that this plus 1 is my y-intercept. And then this is the tricky part where I heard a lot of you saying, oh, what's the slope? Well, this is just like saying 1x, so my slope is equal to 1. When I say my slope is 1, well, really, it's 1 over 1. So the first technique, step 1, plot your y-intercept. My y-intercept is positive 1. There I go. Step 2, use your slope to find at least 2 other points. So my slope is 1, which means I go up 1 over 1. So I go up 1 over 1 plot, 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 and it continues in that form. Okay, I'm going to have you do another one. All right, I'm just going to make one. Y is equal to 1/3 x minus 4. All right, first technique. What's my first step, class?
The y-intercept.
So the y-intercept, which is -4. So I'm going to make a point at -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's -4. And what's my second step?
Slope.
What's my slope?
Up 1 over 3.
Up 1 over 3. So I go up 1. Now I'm only dotting it so we can see what I'm doing on the video online. Okay, up 1 over 1, 2, 3. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3. There is my line. Okay. Now what I would usually do, I was noticing a couple of you while you're doing independent practice are doing my dots the way I was doing. I'm only doing that for the purpose of people seeing online if you were to watch this at home. Technically what I do is just count it in my head quietly. So if I'm at -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I go up 1 over 1, 2, 3, dot it. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3, dot it. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3, dot it. So I don't usually do all those little dots. I only do that so if we're watching it at home, we can see how I got to those points. Okay? All right, one concept you need to know, graphing points to the left. When we graph points to the left of the initial y-intercept, what we do is do the opposite. And what in the goodness do I mean by that? Well, if you look here, y equals negative x plus 1, I have a slope of negative 1. So it's like go down 1 over 1. This means I go down 1, and then I'd go to the right 1. Well, when I graph to the left, I'm doing the opposite of what I do. So what's the opposite of down 1? Up 1. What's the opposite of to the right 1?
To the left.
Left 1. You need to keep that in mind when you're making points, because I do expect you to make points to the left and to the right of the y-intercept, okay? So this is our opposite slope. And really, I'm making it sound difficult. You just got to be able to visualize, is this going in the right direction? A line should always be lined up, okay? So here my y-intercept is negative 1. I'm right here, negative 1. And my slope is negative 1. So that means I'm going to go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. Now notice that it kind of looks like it could be a ray. There's no points going to the left. That's why I want to plot some points. So if I plot points to the left, I just do the opposite. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And make sure that it lines up. And there I go. You see? So just make sure that you do some points to the left and some points to the right. I think I've taught you what you need to know with graphing equations. Your homework for today is going to be no, I have not paused.
I can hear myself.
Your homework is page 310, problems 37 through 45. All of it is graphing. You have the graph paper that you need. Make sure your graphs look very nice.